everyone, and welcome to your Inner Journey weather forecast for the week of March 21st through the 27th, 2021, in which we use archetypal astrology to understand the energies in the collective and how they might show up in your inner journeys this week, whether they be psychedelic experiences, meditation experiences, vision quests, dream experiences, active imagination, whatever they may be. So let's look at this week. This week, we continue to have a beautiful Sun-Venus conjunction. This is Archetypal Explorer here that we're looking at. So there's a Sun-Venus conjunction, and we have a summary of it right down here. Sun-Venus conjunction. And that is a conjunction that's associated with warmth, good feelings. It's so nice that we just went through the spring equinox. The sun entered into Aries. It's the beginning of spring, and the sun entered into Aries with Venus conjoined with it, meaning that when the sun enters into Aries, the spring energy, the vitality rising up through the roots and the shoots of the vegetation in spring in the northern hemisphere, and also within ourselves, the vitality rising up, people beginning to venture back out into the outdoors, the spring energy abounds. And so it's nice that as the sun enters into Aries, it's there with Venus, because Venus is the archetype of pleasure, enjoyment, and the sun is the archetype of the vital energy that is our core identity and our core kind of energetic imprint. And also the sun in the sky, the solar energy, the light. So the sun has entered into Aries, the energy is rising. We step outside, there's the temperature is also rising, the sunlight is coming down, and the Venus energy is there, which tends to connote enjoyment, being with friends, socializing, conviviality. And so for the inner experiences this week, that bodes well for just enjoying, basically spending. It doesn't have to be a big task or a big endeavor, more like sitting in the sunlight and soaking in the energy, pleasure, enjoyment, harmony with friends. It's great. Beautiful transit as we pass the spring equinox there. We also have the sun Venus comes in to its exactitude by Friday, right as we enter into the weekend, which is also nice because Friday is usually a time when we shrug off the work of the week for a lot of people and enjoy. And midweek, we have the Mercury-Mars square, which is great for speaking one's mind. Mercury is associated with the mind and speech, and Mars makes it active. So it can be speaking one's mind, saying the brave thing, saying the thing that needs to be said. Also vocalizing, if you're in an inner journey and you just want to express, vocalizing forcefully, vocalizing Mercury, forcefully Mars, crying out, singing out, speaking out, anything like that. There's a lot of energy when there's Mercury, Mars in this area. Throat chakra, throat area, communication. Also the mind is very active. It can be very active, want to tackle, wrestle with pursuits of the mind, intellectual pursuits and whatnot, and debates and conversations. So that's continuing through this week. It was there last week. We explored it last week. This week, it's there even stronger. We also have this week the continued transit of Saturn-Uranus. Saturn-Uranus right here continues this week, and that's this whole year, Saturn square Uranus. And so that one is the association with Saturn's associated with responsibility and discipline, and Uranus associated with freedom. And so the freedom that comes through imposing discipline and structure in our lives, that's one way it can show up. Saturn is associated with the more traditional, and Uranus is associated with things like technology and innovation. So there's kind of a stepping back into more traditional uses of technology and innovation. And Saturn and Uranus is also associated with the traditions, time-tested traditions, and new exciting innovations or new exciting perspectives, new exciting twists on the old traditions. So you might see kind of spiritual traditions, if we're talking about inner journeys, taking on a new twist, a new dimension, a new liveliness, something that was looked at as just a dogma or maybe a tradition or a structure becoming actually alive in ourselves and our inner journeys, and we see it in a new light and a new perspective. So that's a Saturn square Uranus that will be with us all year. It's very tight right now, particularly. And I'm actually going to be teaching a free webinar coming up about how to plan your next inner journey using archetypal astrology and Archetypal Explorer, this program. And so if you have an inner journey coming up that you're thinking about doing, it's Archetypal Astrology is a wonderful tool for finding a good time to do it, because one of the discoveries that comes from Archetypal Astrology, which actually Archetypal Astrology comes from the research into psychedelic therapy. That's the origin of Archetypal Astrology. Archetypal Astrology is a branch of the larger millennia old astrological tradition. And that particular branch came off when researchers into psychedelic therapy discovered that it was a great tool for planning and understanding psychedelic therapy sessions. And so if you have a inner journey coming up, a meditation retreat, psychedelic journey, some type of yoga intensive, or some type of inner quest of some sort, inner journey, then check out the new webinar coming up. There'll be a link below. It's a free webinar, and you can figure out how to use Archetypal as a tool to understand great timings, foresee wonderful timings for planning this journey of yours. The discoveries of Archetypal Astrology is that time has a quality to it, and we can look at different times and find the times in the future that have different qualities that might support what the whole kind of draw and attraction is for you towards inner journeys. Maybe it's the energy we want to be light and exploratory. Maybe we want it to be deep and confrontational with our subconscious. Maybe we want it to be transformative. Maybe we want it to be fun. Whatever it may be, we can look at the different timings, and you'll get an opportunity to custom tailorize it to you. For instance, you can look here. This is my transits for this week. This is the transits for the whole world. So this is the collective transits for all of us. My transits are very different, not very different, but they're somewhat different. It's more particularized to me. So when we plan your next upcoming inner journey, we want to particularize it to you, find out specifically what energies are coming up for you. So it's great for planning inner journeys. It's not meant to be a tool to micromanage in any way, because of course you may have heard, if you've explored, for instance, psychedelic healing and many other therapeutic modalities, you may have heard of the healing intelligence within. So the healing intelligence within is what we always want to allow to lead us in these inner journeys. That being said, we can use Archetypal Astrology to find good times. We're not trying to micromanage the inner healer within. We're just finding good timings, because actually when we look outside at the transits, the movement of the planets, and they show the quality of situations that were in a certain time and the quality of emotions arising in that certain time, it's not separate from the inner healing, the inner healer. That is actually a part of the inner healer. The universe outside and the inner healer within are not, there's no division there. There's a union between the two. And so that's another wonderful aspect of Archetypal Astrology for planning inner journeys, is that we get to celebrate, we get to revel in, wow, amazing how there's a synced up aspect of the universe, that, where we are in our personal transformation and where the planets are moving or rotating around are all synced up. We're all linked up in a choreography that's so beautiful. It's worth celebrating and recognizing, that is linked up to the inner healing intelligence within. And so it's this vast choreography that we get to revel in and just be in awe of. It's a synchronized kind of union that is just so gorgeous. So click on the link below, claim your spot in this free webinar upcoming, and we'll get to learn how to plan your next upcoming inner journey and take it for a whirl. Take Archetypal Astrology for a whirl, and take Archetypal Explorer for a whirl, and get to see how it informs your experience going into it. So thank you so much for being with me here this week, and look forward to seeing you on the free webinar. Great.